Welcome again to the Retro Auto channel. Obviously, we have the cab here we're going to start working on. I'm going to tear it apart this morning. Pretty straightforward, just taking everything apart. And then once we get that done, I will kind of show you what the floor actually looks like. I already have my patch panels for the floor ordered. If all goes well, I might even get some of those put in this long weekend. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. That's what today is. Probably not for you, but for me it is. So, anyway, I'm going to take it all apart. The seat's out ready. The seat was out before I took the cab off the frame anyway. And that's about all that's been disassembled on the cab as of so far. And once we get into it, I'll give you a little tour of what's good, bad, and indifferent about this cab. Well, that was the windshield. That thing fought. Did not want to come out of here. So let's take a quick moment to talk about shop safety. Don't do anything stupid while you're doing all this stuff. Wear whatever you gotta wear, PPE, that kind of stuff. And I'm gonna get all the shards of glass that are scattered all over the shop. Maybe I can stop sweating because that was a lot of stinking work. And then I'll start on the next part. Quick little word to the wise about this. Normally I'll leave the carpet in or floor mat, whatever it is, until the very end to getting all the interior out for two reasons. One, you don't put your knee or something into a sharp edge or a bolt or something like that as you're crawling in and out, taking everything apart. But also to catch all the dust and the dirt and everything else, because usually most likely you're probably throwing away the carpet anyway. So you can scoop it all out in one big chunk. This time, however, because of all the glass shards that were in there, I pulled that rubber floor mat out. It's junk anyway. And now that's sitting outside next to that busted windshield. And so I'll just have to be a little more careful crawling in and out of there. Yeah, party on. So I just finished the right door, taking it apart, and the only thing that's left in the door that I'm going to take apart later is the window regulator itself. That's riveted in. That looks pretty crusty in there just because it hasn't got used for a long time. Just like all of it. All of it kind of fought me a little more than normal just because it's a passenger door that doesn't get used as much anyway, but this truck has been sitting for quite a while. So everything was just stiff. Nothing really wanted to pop apart like it should. But that's just the way it goes. Sometimes you have that, sometimes you don't. And I'm going to go ahead and take this door apart. I'm not going to film that because it's not a whole lot different than the other side. And then once I get that done, then we'll dig into taking the dash out. The dash and the heater box and whatever else is on the firewall. My driver's door came off a lot faster, a lot easier. A couple lessons learned with that one on how to deal with some of the gaskets that were just breaking up. I did those a little different. And everything just came apart easier because it's the door that gets used more. So now we're going to start in with the dash. This will probably take a while just because on the firewall side of the dash, there's a lot of undercoating covering up bolts and that kind of thing. So I'm going to fight with that for a while. And but then at that point, everything is taken off. Once I get the dash and the heater box and that kind of stuff out, then we're down to cutting out old rusty metal. Okay, it is stripped out as it's gonna get for a little while. Show you what I found. Some of this I kind of expected, a couple little surprises, but nothing overly too crazy. So obviously, I knew this was bad. Even before I bought the truck, I didn't realize how bad it was. But whether it's, you know, a few holes like this or one like that or both, doesn't matter, it's getting a whole patch. This back here, I didn't know until I had it home. I started looking at it, crawling underneath. So I've got a patch here, and I've got this patch. And then I noticed here when I took it apart, a little rust through right there. That was a little surprise, not like it's a gigantic deal. This I saw when I took the fenders off, of course. Then in here, you can kind of see, it's really hard to tell. There we go, you can kind of see way down. Well, I can point at it and I put the camera in, but not at the same time. So down there, in that inner panel, there's a rust hole, and there's really not a way to fix that without like cutting a bunch of stuff apart. I'd have to take the inner rock or the rocker off, possibly cut a chunk of the A-pillar out. Not going to happen. Or I could take the inner brace off and get it from that direction. I don't think it's a big deal. I'm going to sandblast in there as best I can. I'll chemically treat, and then I will undercoat everything I can in there. And by the time that's a problem again, there's probably going to be other things wrong with the truck. It kind of sucks to have to leave a rust hole like that, but there's only about so much a person can do without. I mean, I'm not spending, you know, $100,000 on this truck to take everything apart, make it perfect again. So, other thing, well, obviously, I took these little plugs off, vacuumed out. There's a big mouse nest in both of them. Mostly this side. This side had the big one, and the other one had a little smaller one. And got all that out there. Got the big long blowgun in there, knocked as much of that shit loose as I could. And so I've got it as cleaned as I can. Other place to clean really good is up in here. I'm sure Ford and Chevys are the same way, you know, that just gets filled full of dirt and stuff. Got it all vacuumed out. Of course, that'll get, you know, cleaned out some more later, but to get most of it out for now. What else? Oh, other side. I can show you what I found over here. So, I wasn't expecting any rust holes on the passenger side, and just from what I looked at it in pictures before I bought it, but obviously it has some issues too. And I've got this patch already. This side back here seems to be just fine, which is typical. I mean, driver's side always gets the worst. This looks okay over here. We'll sandblast it and see what happens, but I think it's going to be fine. This guy, I noticed this before I took it apart, so I had to pull the floor mat up a little bit. And I thought, well, maybe the Air Force drilled a hole in there, punched a hole in there for something. Well, I started looking at this side. I mean, it's like blown out. Something slammed through there, and I thought it almost looks like a gun. So I'll show you the picture of the actual frame right about now. You can actually see the little BB marks. Somebody put a hole in this floor with a shotgun, and they're kind of lucky it just winged the edge of the frame there and didn't come back up in them. So there's a little lesson. Put the safety on your gun, no matter if it's a shotgun, rifle, or pistol, if it's got one, and then keep your damn finger off the trigger, because that could have been your foot. Or that person's foot, for all I know. I don't think it was their foot, because it probably wouldn't have been a hole that big. So, but typical truck and or military vehicle, we've got some extra holes here and here for something. There was a few in the back of cab for something. And I don't know if this thing got Z-barred or rusty joned or whatever the heck they call them, but like there's a hole there that had a body plug in. I don't know why they would do it like that, but you can kind of see some of the slime kind of dripping out. So, and then over in this corner too, they sprayed some. And there's those body plugs kind of all over the place. There's one, there's a couple extra here and there. Like there's one in the rocker panel. All that crap. Hate that. Hate that stuff with a passion, because it usually doesn't do any good. It makes things worse half the time. So that's kind of the, you know, nothing surprising on the, I shouldn't say that. I noticed this when I took it apart. Little rust right there in that seam. I've never seen that before, really, on both sides. So you know, little, that's just a handmade patch I can put in there. So like I said, it's a weird spot to rust. But roof has got some dents in, but I knew that before. So nothing overly shocking. Just a few little surprises. And most of those are close to what I was already going to fix to begin with. So not a big deal. Oh, something else. You'll notice everything is unbolted with the exception of maybe a couple screws here and there. Everything except the door hinges. The reason why I don't take door hinges off until way late is if I need to put a door back on to fit something, like if I was going to put a rocker panel on or something like that. Even though these hinges may not be 100% correct, they're really close. They're close enough where I can adjust whatever. I mean, get the door back on there, get it adjusted right, make sure everything fits. So, but I will end up taking them off, uppers and lowers, so I can clean them up and get everything painted nice. And on jack stands, the cart that I had it on is outside, just so I can get at both sides easier. So this is what I have for sheet metal. Floor pans anyway, got all this stuff from Mill Supply. These floor pans, even though they say 80 to 72, they're most correct for 72, 3, and 4 for two reasons. One, this spot over here, the first couple years they made them, the floor pan just kind of sloped over rather than having this flat area and this bump up. And then the center hump is different. The back of the center hump is significantly lower in those first couple years, like 3 inches. But that doesn't matter because the way I'm going to fit them in there anyway, they're going to work. So, you know, like I say, I'll probably, depending on how this one was set up, probably where the seam would be or where the bolt-in hump would be, you can kind of see that indent. If it was 4-wheel drive or 4-speed, a lot of times in the early 70s or through the 70s, late 70s, they kind of quit. But the actual hump was bolted in for service purposes. So this is going to work fine. I'll make it work. You know, obviously I got to cut that hole out, but you know, easy. Then over here on this side, you know, pretty much same story again. This needs a little bigger because it was more intense. So I probably end up going up to that edge. We'll see. And the same thing with the center hump. Center hump was a little different in the middle, but it'll work. Then there was this piece right here. This is supposed to go here. I tried 6 ways from Sunday. I couldn't get this to fit in there for nothing. And I thought, well, maybe they got the wrong label on or the wrong part. You know, right part number, wrong part. I went back and I looked. Went online. Nope, the picture matches what the part I got. I checked, and then I saw this. This is their packing list inside the box. Rear cab floor outer section, 4-door only. There is nothing on their website at all, and I went back and I checked about 4-door only. LMC truck and Browns of Two Rivers, they have the same part. And they're saying it's for extended cab, which, and now that I know that it makes sense, because this part would be fairly level, which is the way the floor is. You know, the rest of the floor in a club cab or a 4-door. But so I will be sending them an email, explaining the problem, wondering why their website says nothing. It doesn't even say extended cab. If it said that, I would have known better not to get it. But so we'll see once what their response is. And then so then this, since everybody who makes this piece of floor is all like this, I'll probably end up just making this. I mean, it's flat other than this little indent right here where the seam sealer goes. It's flat. It's not that tough to make. I've got a sheet metal brake. I'll be able to bend whatever I need to bend later on. So, but that's just kind of it for now. Tomorrow, after I get done working on my blue one over there a little bit, I will be digging back into this, cutting everything out, kind of test fitting some of the panels and stuff. And then eventually it'll get drugged back outside, get sandblasted, and get the floor pans put in. And then when that's done, then I'll start working on all the little dents. and we'll kind of go from there. So I believe that is all for the teardown of the cab.